Good evening, everyone. My name is Weintraub. Tonight, we'll be talking about the WNBA new CBA player agreement deal, the new parking and transportation measures for getting to the FIFA World Cup, and the recap of the World Baseball Classic, and later, Anchor Point, plus an exclusive interview with Valentina Polidoro. So sit back and relax. Welcome. This is Hall Zone. The WNBA and the WNBA Players Association officially came to a new collective bargaining agreement this past week. Officials have met for more than 8 days, trying to get both parties to be on equal terms, and it finally happened. The salary cap for the 2026 season will now be $7 million and will change annually. $10 million is expected by the end of the current deal. That is up from $1.5 million. The maximum salary is set at $1.4 million and is only projected to grow more. The average salary starts at $600,000. Minimum salaries will range based on years of playing in the league, ranging from around $300,000 with projections to increase as the years move forward. This new agreement also requires teams to roster 12 players. In addition, they now can have 2 additional spots for developmental players that will not count against the updated salary cap. In addition, the two parties also agreed that this season there will be 44 games, and by next year that number will jump to 50, and then 52 by 2029. Housing will also be provided under the deal until 2028, and for players making $500,000 or less through 2030. Some WNBA players even reacted with joy to this agreement. Nafisa Collier, vice president of the WNBA Players Association, tweeted out a gif of Kamala Harris saying, "We did it, Joe," and Brittany Griner saying in a post, "New CBA, who this?" This is a major step forward, not only for the WNBA, but for all women's sports, as they are slowly getting paid what they deserve. Although the numbers do not even out to what players in the NBA are making, this is still a monumental moment for those women athletes. With that, the WNBA is back on. Preseason begins at the end of April, and the regular season kicks off on May 8th. We'll be right back.
For all, forever. A promise that began 170 years ago and still guides us today. A legacy of knowledge, faith, and transformation, born of vision, built on community. We are one university with one mission, to create an immensity of future good, as Mother Seton once hoped, to prepare minds, to open doors, to lead with compassion. This is Seton Hall. Driven by purpose, united by faith, reason, and possibility. And now, a campaign to elevate every Setonian, for all, forever. A historic goal to touch every corner of our university and every member of our community. We prepare leaders through scholarship. We enrich education through immersive experience and global reach. We strengthen our cornerstones with academic excellence, research, and faith. Because every gift touches every student, today and for generations to come. For opportunity, for discovery, for community. Join us in shaping the next 170 years. For all, forever. A campaign for a greater Seton Hall.
Getting a ticket to the FIFA World Cup is extremely difficult, as you either have to enter and win a lottery, or hopefully you could find a reasonable price on a ticket website. But now the newest challenge for fans is getting to the games and not being able to tailgate. This year's FIFA World Cup will be held here in the United States along with Canada and Mexico, with the championship game being held right here in New Jersey at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford. However, according to news reports, there'll be no general on-site parking or tailgating at MetLife Stadium for all matches. Instead, the focus is on using mass transit. With nearly 80,000 plus fans going to be in attendance for the world's biggest games, now their only way to the game is by a New Jersey Transit train, bus, or another form of transportation. There will be a limited parking available at the American Dream, but only for FIFA ticket holders, starting at a whopping $225 and possibly increasing. In addition, there is no tailgating, which is very unusual for fans who attend many events at MetLife Stadium. New Jersey Transit says they're building a new bus terminal, which will help allow buses to leave every 30 seconds to help fans get to Secaucus Junction and New York City. In addition, the agency also says it's trying to come up with the best solutions to get people to New York City in the event something happens on the Northeast Corridor, which is the line that allows trains to get to New York City and where the agency sees the majority of its problems. The good news is the FIFA World Cup doesn't start until June 11th, so there's plenty of time to prepare for how to get to the game. From the court to the pitch to the diamond in Miami, where the World Baseball Classic has crowned its newest champions, Venezuela. Last week, Venezuela defeated Team USA 3-2 in the championship game, and that win was thanks to great pitching. For 8 innings, Venezuela only allowed 2 hits by the United States. Pitcher Eduardo Rodriguez only allowed 1 hit, pitched 4 innings, and had 4 strikeouts, earning an ERA of 3.86. Scoring the runs for Venezuela were Sanoa, Abreu, and Perez. However, for the United States, an impressive run in the tournament falls short. Aaron Judge and Kyle Schwarber both had 3 strikeouts on the night. The only runs that came in were by Bryce Harper on a 2-run homer at the bottom of the 8th. For the U.S., it's back to the drawing board as they wait for the next World Baseball Classic, looking to improve pitching and hitting, especially in big-time moments, and maybe not having guys named Aaron carrying out the American flag ahead of a big game. But for Venezuela, they'll be celebrating this win for a long time and remembering all the iconic moments that Rodriguez brought to the mound in that game. That's all the news for now. Stay with us as after the break, we transition to Anchor Point, the official debate show of Hall Zone. We'll be right back.
Hello and good evening. My name is Matthew Miller, and welcome to Anchor Point, the official debate show of the Hall Zone, where tonight we will debate the hottest topics in the sporting world. Alongside me are my fierce debaters, Gabriel Garcia and Cameron Bryce. We have quite a bit to talk about today, so let's dive into it. All right, first, we're going to talk about NBA playoff season. Who we got going to the championship? Let's start with you, Gabe.
So I know NBA season, postseason's coming around. I'm going to take the number 1 team in the West, the OKC Thunder, led by SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, averaging around 30 points per game. He has a great band around him with Holmgren, with Hartenstein, which I dearly miss on the Knicks. But I think they're competitors. They're the defending champs. SGA is the reigning MVP, and I think they're gonna repeat this year for sure.
See, I have to disagree with you on there. I got the team that is below them, but they're a hot
Below them
season.
for a reason.
Hey,
Below
but
them for a reason.
Hey, regular season doesn't matter in the playoffs. So I got the San Antonio Spurs. I got Victor Wembanyama, who's been averaging 24.3 points per game. He's a two-way play. He's leading the league in blocks per game with 3 blocks per game. They also have a young and hungry core. They have Castle. They have what's that guy from Rutgers? Dylan Harper.
You can't forget Dylan Harper. Come on,
Dylan
Jersey
Harper.
guy. Come on.
Yeah, my bad. But they have the 3rd highest points per game with
Okay.
119.20, while the Thunder have the 5th, which is 118.70. Okay. They're doing good on offense. They're doing good on defense. Fox and Castle put in the work with Wembanyama, as Fox is putting up 18.9 points per game, and Castle is putting 16.3 points per game.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of emphasis there on Wembanyama for sure. And for a good reason. Great defensive guy in the paint. But, you know, he's not going to defend 5 guys on the court. I know he's a pretty lanky guy with those long arms. But when you're going against top-tier guards like Shai, who have this amazing speed and kind of just ability to really shoot from anywhere. I know Shai's more not of a deep threat, but when he's passing the ball to these other guys like Dort, Holmgren in the paint, it's kind of an unstoppable offense, and I think they're number 1 for a reason. I say the West is way better than the East right now, and they're number 1 for a reason. I know in the regular season they lost to the Spurs, but they did lose a couple of games where Shai was hurt, Chet was hurt, Hartenstein was hurt. So these are games that are head-to-heads that if you're a Spurs fan, you look against the OKC Thunder like, oh yeah, we beat them, you know, they're the reigning champs. I think Wembanyama, the other day he hit that game-winning shot, and in the press conference he said like, oh yeah, we beat the defending champs. That I feel like in the regular season doesn't quite translate to playoffs, which I know you mentioned. But you got guys like Jalen Williams averaging around 18 points per game. He's efficient. He's the secondary playmaker behind Shai. But the Thunder are just so good at attacking the paint. I know, again, Wembanyama is there, but they draw the fouls. I know SGA has the notorious the foul merchant, you know, the easy whistle, but it's winning them games, and I think that's what's important.
See, you do make a good point there, but rebounds also matter in basketball, and the Spurs is the second team with most rebounds at 46.81. But like what you said, how Jalen Williams, they have a good deal guys, but most of the points are coming from SGA. Yeah. Now, what would happen if something happened with SGA and he has to get out of game? What happens to that whole entire
You know what my
offense?
answer to that is?
What?
The recently returned Jared McCain. Jared McCain, guy coming off the bench, he just shot like, I think he made 3 out of 3 attempts on three-pointers in his return to Philadelphia. I mean, if he really gets it going, I think Jared McCain's going to be electric. I know he was pretty popular coming out of Duke in his rookie year with the Sixers. I know he's had some injury issues, but I think Jared McCain as the backup coming off the bench, I think if he gets his minutes and he gets rolling, I think that's going to be strong.
Jared McCain is an overrated
No,
bum
absolutely
that
not.
will not
Absolutely
do
not.
anything for the
And to
Thunder.
your point about rebounds, my answer to rebounds is you can't rebound if it goes into the basket.
Hey, but what if it doesn't go to the basket? Then you have Victor Wembanyama, the man, the myth, the legend.
I think Chet Holmgren is up there with them Wembanyama for sure.
All right, I'm going to interject here. You said Jared McCain, you mentioned the Sixers. So last night they played the Sixers, and OKC defeated them 123-103.
Yeah.
How do your team, how do they stack up against the OKC Thunder, and what is something unique that your team has that OKC doesn't?
They have a young and hungry core that is mixed with Harrison Barnes and De'Aaron Fox that would teach them how the league works. They have a bunch of veterans that they would teach the young players like Wembanyama and Castle and Harper. And they just have an all-around squad. Like, they have a all-around, built-like team for the playoffs that anybody can score. It's not always one person, which is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Like, anyone can score. They have great playmaking. And I also have to say, OKC has one of the worst three-point defenses in the league, allowing 36.50% from the three-point line, which Dylan Harper, Stephen Castle, they are snipers from the three-point line, as we can tell. And
I mean, to that, I think going into playoffs, I think a team is always able to adjust. And, you know, they might not be great at the defensive three, but OKC is a great team at enforcing turnovers. And I think their fast-paced style of play can really affect the Spurs. You say they're young, they're hungry. If they're young and hungry, they're young, they're inexperienced. I don't feel like they haven't really been in big moments like OKC has. OKC has that experience from last year of playing the playoffs in a stacked West team. I know the Lakers, I think they just lost their 9-game winning streak or something. The Lakers are also a threat in the West, and I think OKC is at that top for a reason. They beat the Sixers, which the East is a little weaker side, but again, it's just the more experience that OKC has against the Spurs, I think, is what's going to really put them over.
Yeah, but like I said earlier, they have those veterans to teach the young kids to, like, hey, like, don't do anything stupid here, like, pass the ball here. Like, they have those veterans there.
All right, so I'm going to eject here. So we keep talking about championships, and I'm going to take this one step further and ask you something that could be a whole separate question on its own, and that is, what do you think about championships? And out of all the different sports, pro, college, you name it, international, we'll even throw that in there, what is the hardest, if you're a team, what is the hardest championship to get involved in, to get to? We're going to start with you, Gabe.
Little recency bias here. We're in the great month of March. And in college sports, March is the most fun time to watch the NCAA March Madness tournament for college basketball. And I think that is the hardest championship to win in all of sports, because you have such a big sample size of 68 teams. We're going into Sweet 16 right now, but these guys have been grinding since their conference tournaments. That's a lot of teams to win. And all these games since the start of their conference tournament are single elimination. One game and you're done for the rest of your season. Some teams finished a couple weeks ago and other teams are still going. So I think the reason that these games are single elimination. You only have one game. You don't have much preparation time. It's got to be the hardest for sure to win.
I have to disagree with you there. I have the Stanley Cup. I have the NHL because hockey is already a physical sport enough in the regular season. But when the playoffs kick in and it's the Stanley Cup, they turn it up a notch. They hit harder. They skate faster. And there's like, it's just a totally like different ball game. And you have to, instead of just like one elimination game, they have to play in a series. So they have to, so it's more endurance on the body as they play like day by day, hitting each other and just like these grueling, brutal hits that they have to endure.
Yeah, you mentioned endurance there. I think being like the hardest, tournament or playoff system to win it's not. I wouldn't say yes, endurance is a part of it, but it's also perfection. In March Madness, you need perfection. You can't have a bad shooting night and then okay, like next day I got it, like I can bounce back. No, you can't bounce back. There's no bounce back. You have halftime, which is like you got 20 minutes of going over your film. Your coach asking you, this is what you need to do. This is what we expect out of you. There's not much room for error in March Madness. And yes, it's physical and all that, but it's a best out of 7 series. You can lose 3 straight games and then have 4 games where you can come back because you have that preparation time in between those games. That like overnight you can like, okay, this is what we did wrong. This is what we need to fix. I think that if the best out of 7 series, you have room for error.
Yeah, but it's also very tough to come back 3-0 from, again, in a hockey standpoint. Yeah. Like, those players are not going to let you get off easy, let you just score a goal. One good goalie can determine an outcome that it can lead to a lot of upsets. Like there could be a goalie that lets up 5 goals at the game, and there could be a goalie that could let up only 1. There's only one goalie that can affect the outcome.
It's funny you mentioned upsets because I think one of the most popular reasons that why the NCAA tournament. When I'm saying the NCAA tournament, I do mean the men's basketball in particular. I know women's basketball is a similar system, pretty much the same system to be honest, which is also very entertaining. But a big reason why people love to tune in to the NCAA tournament, to March Madness, is because of that seeding system. You mentioned upsets. A 16 seed can go on a miracle Cinderella run, beating 1 seeds, beating these top dog programs. And I think it's so unexpected because you go into the season, and I know, yes, we have a lot of repeats like UConn, who are programs that are, powerhouses in college basketball. But when you get an opportunity to play a 16 seed to play a 1 seed as a 16 seed, you have that hunger to beat that team. And we see it a lot of upsets. Even this past week where we've seen a couple of upsets. I think it's just the randomness of it. I think the fact that it's such a large sample size of the 68 teams, then now you go down to the Sweet 16 and all that. It's just the level of randomness is so unpredictable. And I think, yes, you can go into a season prepared, but going into March Madness, I've seen, I know there's that term, I've seen crazier things in March. Anything could happen.
All right, Kim. So I'm gonna interject here because what he brought up was pretty profound. He mentioned how actually no, he didn't mention it. I'm gonna add on something. March Madness is something where it's growing and growing every year, and we have a lot of ESPN analysts and a lot of other big guys, big names like Seth Davis and Andy Katz, who are always analyzing the system and criticizing it. Just to be frank with it, they're criticizing the fact that it's always expanding. And how do you defend that when you have something like he brought up another point where you have something like the MLB World Series or even the NHL that it's you have time to screw up, you can make a mistake and you can still come back from it. March Madness, no, you can't. And then you're also playing against more teams every year.
Yeah.
How do you defend your argument?
I would say that yes, there's no room for error, but still, again, I have to go out with the endurance, the big hits. You can lose a lot of players from these series and games. You have room for error. You can make a mistake and still bounce back. But still, the amount of hits that your body can take, and also for so long, you're playing 20-minute periods, and you're just relentlessly getting brutally hit and hit and hit. Like, you have to be strong mentally and also strong physically to go through a 7-game series. You have to win 16 games to win it all. And I feel like that is much more harder since you're going through it all, like, brutally. Like, you're going through it all just physically.
Yeah. I mean, I would say basketball is also not as physical. I give the respect to the hockey players. They do go through a lot. But freak accidents could happen on a basketball court where if your team really relies on one guy, like let's say like your one guard, and he goes down with an injury, that kind of demoralizes your whole offense, which can ruin your run for March Madness. And I mean, you said I know you said the 16 playoff games. March Madness right now is roughly 6 games, depending on your seeding and all that. Those 6 games, again, no room for error, man. You have, like, you can't have, I mentioned before, you can't have one bad shooting night. And I think that the NHL, the Stanley Cup playoffs, yes, they are hard. They're brutal on the players' bodies. But guys, they go through that all season. I think, yes, they get injured and they come back until later, but it's basketball season is perfection. March Madness just requires perfection. That's so hard, is to be perfect.
Yeah. I agree. I do have to say you bring up a good point there. But, again, hockey, it's you have to learn how to do all. You have to learn how to skate. You have to learn how to be tough physically. And I have to say the Stanley Cup playoffs can be a big major of upsets also. You have to be the most not brutal, but you have to be like the team willing to win it all. Okay. You have to like show heart, you have to show passion. And I'm not saying that March Madness doesn't show heart, doesn't show passion.
It definitely does.
It definitely does. But I think hockey brings it more, and I feel like the better the passion and like the more hits and the more like action there is, I feel like it's more harder.
And that's all we got tonight. I'm Matthew Miller, and this is Gabriel Garcia, Cameron Price. Thank you all for tuning in to Anchor Point. Up next, we have an exclusive interview with Valentina Polidoro of PSN. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
I have a question about baseball. Why do you think that the sport has seen such a rise in popularity over the last few years, and do you think that baseball is now the second most popular sport in America?
I don't think baseball is the second most popular sport in America. I think that would be football and then basketball, or college football. I'm a black man, but I'm also an American, damn it. I want us to win. Okay, I root for red, white, and blue all day, every day. I love the DR. I love Puerto Rico. I got relatives. I got Hispanics in my family, Puerto Ricans. I got all of that. Damn it, I want America. Not that they ain't a part of it, but I want it's the red, white, and blue, baby. That's me. Okay. Bryce Harper, you down 0-2, and you smack that home run straightaway center, and he rolls around third base and had the American flag wrapped around his bicep and then pointed to him like, I'm like, hell yeah, let's go. Tie scoring the damn it. Give up the running, top of the night, just going every day.
Welcome back, everyone. Once again, I'm Elijah Weintraub, and I'm pleased to welcome you to a very special interview with Seton Hall's Valentina Polidoro. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me here today.
Well, I'm pleased that you're here and joining us on the studio. I want to start off with your love for Philadelphia and your love for Philly sports. You grew up in South Philadelphia, a few minutes out from the stadiums. How did that change your environment and your love for the game?
Absolutely, it's a great question. So my dad's a huge Philly sports fan. He's a huge Flyers fan. He's had season tickets since I was really, really young, and I always went to games constantly. I've been going since I was like maybe 6. So that love really just sparked something within me. I knew I wanted to do something in sports when it came to that because it was so passionate for my dad and really just kind of sparked that interest in me. My uncle also played on the Flyers growing up. He played for the Minnesota Wild as well. So seeing him out on the ice was so much fun to watch when I was a kid. So, and I really just wanted to involve myself kind of in that space. And being in Philadelphia, there's so many loyal sports fans, and it just, really made me want to do something with that.
That's an incredible story that your uncle played in the NHL,
yeah,
and that you continue to still follow in that love for hockey, especially for the Flyers, which, they're not having the best season. But it's all right, though. It's like the Devils. I'm a Devils fan, so I get that completely a lot. And I want to go into now the Bluebeard Army.
Yeah.
You are secretary of the Bluebeard Army. You help build the student athletics and help build that level up. How did you get into that role? How did you get the fans involved and into the games as well?
Absolutely. So my freshman year, I'm, as you guys know, I'm a huge basketball fan. Love basketball, love sports. And me and a couple of my friends were the only ones that would go to every single game my freshman year. We didn't have that great of a season, but it was still so much fun showing up for the Pirates. Even though they lost, it was still such a great season. Like, I loved watching them play. And during that time, there were a couple upperclassmen that, you know, saw me and my friends coming to the games consistently and invited us, hey, come up to the front, let's watch together. And there was like maybe 10 of us that would show up to every single game, and it was so much fun. So I ended up getting a follow-up message later on after the season ended and was like, hey, like, we would love to include you on Bluebeard Army, make it something that's, you know, bigger than us, have students come to the game, feel excited. And so I said yes, and I ended up becoming secretary. And what I do is I basically just help organize like events. For example, Greek night, we have an amazing turnout for Greek night. It is 100% my favorite night of the year. And we just have so much fun all together. It's a really great time, and I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do here at Seton Hall.
That is awesome. And now you just talked about getting the fans involved and into the game.
Yeah.
We know this season the attendance level from our fans wasn't the best. Why do you think that was the reason this year that we had such a low number, fans attendance minus the big games?
Absolutely. So, as you know, I mean, Seton Hall had a pretty rough season. We started out really good. We had plenty of wins. It was a super fun season at the start. But then things just kind of started to decline, and performance wasn't as great. And it just so happened that we weren't winning consistently, and it was kind of hard to get students to get to games. So our incentive to help students come to games was we tried to incorporate more of the old traditional stuff. We would do the alma mater after every game. We had banter sheets, which showed a bunch of we would do the banter sheets, which would show a bunch of game stats and player stats. So it would incline students to come, watch the game, want to learn about the teams. And we also do something called Raise the Colors, which I'm sure you've probably seen on social media. The big Seton Hall pirate flag, which is always so much fun to do. So we help organize that kind of thing, and also doing free merch with athletics. That's something that definitely gets students to come to games. So we just kind of try to incentivize them, help students come to the games. I know it's also too, like, there's a lot of people who are super busy during the weekdays. Yep. It's hard for commuters to get to games because there's late night games. But at the end of the day, it's just about showing up for your team and, building that community within Seton Hall, which is so much fun to do. And, being able to do that through Bluebeard Army is something I love to,
It's always an exciting time to go to the game, and that's what matters the most. And that's the message to all fans. Go to the games and be part of the Bluebeard Army. Go and experience what they have to do.
Yes.
You are also part of the Pirate Sports Network.
Yes.
I want to talk about the Pirate Sports Network because that is a very unique program. Gets the games on ESPN Plus, broadcasts the games and stuff. Mm-hmm. What are your big takeaways from being part of that program, and how does that help to shape you and your major here in Seton Hall?
Absolutely. So I'm a finance and marketing double major with a sports media minor. I have a huge interest in sports media, and I've always wanted to do something that would get me involved with, the behind the scenes work. And joining Pirate Sport Network was probably one of the best things I've done so far here at Seton Hall. It really taught me how to navigate those fast-paced environments, especially when you're on live camera. It's hard to kind of navigate that. You're so stressed out about certain things and what happens here, what happens there. And with Pirate Sport Network, you kind of learn how to adapt to that kind of pace. And that's something I really took away from being Pirate Sport Network. I'm sure you have too. You're also a part of it.
Yes, of course.
So I'm sure you understand kind of working in that environment. And it's really kind of helped me, be more calm, not stressed, and work under pressure.
And now, for those who are not familiar with the Pirate Sports Network, can you tell them a little bit about what you guys do in a day of a life ahead of a game? Yeah,
absolutely. So we show up roughly an hour and a half, 2 hours before the game tip-off. And we normally just do women's basketball games. And we'll show up, we'll have graphics. They'll start setting up all the graphics for the game, the scoreboard, all the player stats, the starting lineups. And then we'll have people behind the scenes doing the camera work. I usually do the cameras. I'm always on camera 3 or camera 4. Yeah. And we just kind of go, we set them up, we plug them in, we make sure all of our ESPN tools, they're ESPN, let me start that.
The tools, ESPN tools, and it's a very important part of getting the job done and working out these games. We're going to transition now to you making the Dean's List this semester as a sophomore.
I know. It's very hard balancing all these things, but what makes it easy is just setting that time aside for my academics and my interests. Like when I have a schedule, I love Google Calendar. one of my favorite things in the whole world. And just using that to kind of navigate my schedule. I'm one of those people, I go hour to hour. I have something new every single hour. So, you know, keeping on top of that and also putting some time aside to study has really helped me kind of get through, you know, the workload and, you know, managing all these things that I do at Seton Hall. And that just kind of helps make it easy for me.
Yeah, and time management is so important, especially, you know, with the studies, activities here. How important is it for people to follow a time in time management?
I'd say very. I mean, in high school, I was also very involved. I did cheerleading, I did all kinds of stuff. But really what kept me grounded and focused was being timely. Like knowing that, you know, my main priority is, you know, graduating, my academics, you know, getting a job after college or in high school going to a college, and, you know, setting that time aside just to be able to study, focus on that kind of thing is what really helped me. Being able to time manage is something that's super important to me. Like, it's something that I feel like everyone should do. It just kind of helps balance all the things in the world when everything is just kind of so crazy, and it kind of eliminates that chaos. So I like it.
All right, I want to go to another question now. I'm going to go to, you're the director of the Health and Wellness Education Department here at Seton Hall. Especially with mental health season passing by, what are some tips that we should all be following to help with our mental health?
Absolutely. Growing up, I've always had mental health stuff. I have anxiety, and dealing with that was just very rough, and I didn't know how to manage that. So the biggest thing I would say to help manage that, especially throughout this season, is just kind of, you know, stay true to yourself. Realize that you are bigger than anything that you may face, your problems, whatever it is. Like, you are strong enough to get through anything. And that's kind of what helps me get through it. And especially, like, even time management. When I set that time aside for myself as well, like, that really kind of helps me get out of that, you know, dark mental space that I'm in. Stay true to yourself. Find that hobby that you may like. Set some time aside for yourself, and you will, you know, you'll find your place. You'll be calm. Things will go the way that you want them to. You just have to remain loyal to yourself and the things around you.
And I want to ask one last question before I get to my very important question of the night.
Of course.
What are things you do to help with your mental health, like activity-wise, clubs, like things like that? What are things that you do?
I love to crochet.
Really?
That is one of my favorite things to do, yeah. So I actually learned here at Seton Hall at the Crochet Club, and I just went one night with my old roommate, and I was like, let's just go. Why not? Let's give it a shot. And we went, and it was so much fun, and it actually turned into a hobby that I still love to do today. I actually started a small business with that on Etsy. Okay. It's so much fun. I make bags, I make clothing, so it's something that alleviates my stress, and it's something that, like, keeps me focused on something else. I also like to journal. Journaling is something that's really big to me. I like writing down my thoughts, so at the end of the night, I don't have anything in my head, and I can go right to sleep, and it's great, and then I can start the next day fresh. So those are some things that I do.
Do you have, like, favorite creations that you've done with crocheting and stuff?
Definitely my bags. I've made stuffed animals. Those are very fun to make.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, those would probably be the ones I would say.
Wow, I mean, that's a lot of things you do. You know.
Yeah, I try to manage it.
So you're a strong advocate for women in sports, and the WNBA just had a big salary increase, and we just talked about that moments ago in the show. How important is it that these women athletes are finally being paid what they deserve, and that the sports are growing even further?
I think it's a great thing. Women in sports are finally being recognized for how much work they put into their specific sport. They work just as hard as male athletes do, and it's really wonderful to see that they're finally getting that pay worth of their athletic ability, and it's really wonderful to see. It makes me very proud to be a woman who does participate in sports and, you know, kind of understands how much effort it takes, you know, to finally make your ground in sports as a woman. So it makes me very happy to see that they're finally getting that recognition they deserve, and I'm super excited to see, like, where this goes from here. So.
And I want to ask you, do you watch the WNBA at all? Like, which is your team that you follow for the WNBA? And how important is it for the women that they're, you know, being paid this money? You know.
So I don't watch the WNBA as often as I know I should, but I do really think that, you know, women basketball players are such an important role, like have such an important role in sports, and I think it's just a great thing. I mean, they're just as valuable as our male athletes as well, and our Seton Hall women's basketball team is actually incredible. We did so good this season, and it was a joy being able to watch them this year. I had a great time going and, you know, doing Pirate Sport Network for the games, so it was always just so fun, like, you know, watching them, and they're just as entertaining as our male basketball players are as well, and I think it's great that they're, you know, finally getting that recognition in sports, and yeah, I'm really happy about it.
That's awesome. And I want to ask the toughest question of the whole interview.
Okay.
Philly pretzel or Philly cheesesteak?
Okay. Hear me out. I like Philly pretzels. I know. Listen, but a Philly cheesesteak is good. I know a good place. It's called Angelo's. It's great. But something about dipping your Philly pretzel in a Pops water ice. Come on. You can't beat that.
Hold on. A pretzel and a Pops water ice?
Water ice.
Okay, that is a first to me. I mean,
okay,
I'm
Italian
definitely all
ice.
for pretzels, absolutely. And I'm like, anti-hands or Philly pretzels, don't get me wrong. But into a water ice.
Yes.
What?
Italian ice.
Okay.
But we call it water ice.
Okay, but why?
It's so good. It's like the most refreshing summer treat ever. I look forward to the first day of spring every year to get my free Pops water ice, just to dunk it with my Philly pretzel, and I eat it, and it's so good. I'm putting you on. It's delicious.
Do you got like a flavor or something that you?
Chocolate
water ice.
Yeah. It's fire. It's so good. It's so good.
Now we know, folks. Try water ice and a Philly pretzel. That's a no for me. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. From our entire crew, I'm Elijah Weintraub. Thank you for joining us, and have a great night.